Hey, what's going on, everybody? Once again, back. It's the incredible Dale Valor's Inner Game podcast. And as per usual, I've got my trusted confidant, Shabam, here with me over there roasting in India. Yep. It's hot here too, man. I mean, it just, like summer's, it's not officially summer, but I mean, it's going to be 90 degrees today, it's fairly humid and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I'm with you on that. You wouldn't know it by like what I'm wearing, in the sense of like anytime any of you guys watch this podcast, generally I'm wearing a jacket or a coat or some type of long sleeve shirt or something like that. Just understand that in the basement, it's always mad cool. You know what I mean? So like I have to put on some type of layers. Like I got a little space heater right here by my feet. Now I turn it off because otherwise you're going to hear the fan and everything. But like it gets chilly, in particularly in the winter. Like it gets really chill. Like my fingers just start getting numb and stuff. Like it's really chilly down here. Do they even have basements in India?
It's rare. Some houses have it, but that's very rare.
Yeah, I get you. Well, there's parts of the United States that don't have them. Florida, for example, it's just too swampy, things like that. So, but listen, this is going to be a great episode, man. And before I get into what we're going to be talking about, just know if you're new to this podcast, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome. But here's the deal. If you don't know what this podcast is about, what the theme, the nature of it is, or even what inner game is, what we're really talking about here is the relationship that you have with yourself. Because if you don't have a good, solid relationship with you, all your other relationships are going to suffer, man. And that's why I'm so adamant about, healthy self-esteem, self-confidence, resilience, killing that negative self-talk in your head, overthinking, eradicating that, just so is that you can start having that good relationship with you that extends to others, whether that relationship is friends, family, a girlfriend, professionally, right? Like, you want those relationships to be healthy and to thrive. And that's what we're trying to do here is show you ways and techniques and, talk with guests who specialize in certain areas, and that way you can take that information, start applying it to you, and off you go. You know what I mean? You're starting to have some incremental growth. All right. But that leads me to today. And the person that we are going to be having on here is somebody I've known for a little while now. And she is a men's dating coach, but I'll let her put it in her own words. Okay. I don't want to, put words in her mouth, so to speak, I guess. I'll let her break it down. But we have on Natalie Stavola is going to be joining us here shortly. And it's going to be a banger. Like she was a former drill model with Modern Flirting. For those of you that don't know what the hell I'm even talking about. The company that I coach with, Modern Flirting, one of the really cool aspects of it is we have on women that you can role play with over Zoom. And, like you can practice flirting with them. You can practice hitting on them. You can practice, just having banter, whatever it is. And they'll tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. And her classes, when she was doing her drill sessions, they were bangers. I used to go out of my way to join them regularly, just to pop in, not to like step on toes or anything like that. You know what I mean? Because like when you got one of the main coaches that jumps in, all of a sudden the attention a lot of times is like they start asking you stuff instead of asking the drill model. You know what I mean? But, I just enjoyed our interaction. I enjoyed being a part of it, and then also letting the guy kind of demonstrating her for the guys like, hey, look, check this out. And then, or I would say this in this situation and, and Natalie, I thought was extremely engaging and intelligent, and she brought a little bit more to the table for in those drills than what you might typically expect. I know that she has I know she has a background in psychology, I believe. But I'll let her break it down. She's here, so I'll let her explain that a little bit. All right. Okay, so connected now, but yeah. Oh, look at this setup.
Good morning.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah, I've got my little office set up.
Yours looks so much more professional than mine. I've like basically got a bed sheet.
Listen, it's taken me a long time. So actually, like I'm setting up. Can you guys hear me okay too? It's the first time I'm using this.
I'd say it's a tad quiet. If you can turn up the volume just a bit.
Let me see. How do I do that on this? Shit, I don't even know how to do that on this. Wait, I think I can figure it out.
If you can move, just have the mic a little closer to you.
Oh yeah, just have it closer to me. Does that
much better? Yep.
Much better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Much better.
Yeah.
So I'm actually setting up an area in my apartment that's like just for podcast interviews, content creation. This alone has taken me like a year just to like finally get the right camera, get the camera set up to Zoom. Cause I was doing all these things just on Zoom, but like I would get back the quality and I was like, so I have like a camera that's set up to my computer for Zoom. So it's like a little bit more.
Yeah.
Clear,
You definitely have to have a webcam and stuff like that. I remember when I started getting into this in terms of like creating content and all that kind of stuff, I had a guy, a friend of mine who's like, he's kind of like, and I'm sure you guys both know the type. He's like tech snob guy,
Yeah.
And
I can be a tech snob girl sometimes. I used to. Now with technologies.
you're like, hey, your setup sucks. No, but like, I'm like, yo, because I knew that he knew his shit. So I'm like, all right, Andy, break down. What do I need to do to start, making content, videos for YouTube and stuff like that? Oh, sure, Dale, I got you. Oh, here's a list of the most expensive stuff on planet Earth. And I'm like,
oh no.
Yeah. And I'm like, can we kind of scale this back a little bit? He's like, no, if you want to do it right, you got to have the right gear. And so like my camera, not this one, but my camera for my YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff is the most expensive thing I've ever bought in my life outside of a house or a car.
Ask how much was your camera?
It was around, all in all, with all the accessories and all that kind of stuff, almost $5,000, I think.
Wow. Okay.
It's dope. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's a dope.
What kind of camera is?
It's a Sony A3.
Okay. Yeah. Those are 3K. And then with all the nooks and crannies, I have a Sony. I don't even know how to say it. ZEISS.
Okay.
But that's what I'm on right now. And it looks good to me.
Yeah, absolutely. But like that camera, I swear to God, there's a function on there that you can like see the future. It's crazy.
Yeah, when you pay that much, you're gonna get some.
Have it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad. Hey, listen, I'm glad that you were able to make it today. Super dope. I was just kind of giving a little bit of an introduction. But I don't want to put words in your mouth or anything like that. So who is Natalie?
Well, that's a loaded question. Who is she not? Who hasn't she been? Who is she becoming? What did she do? Who found out?
Okay, let me set, before you answer that, let me just set a little bit of context. All right. So we met each other via you coming on as a drill in Modern Flirting, right?
Yes.
And so, and what I was saying in the intro was this basically, is that I would go out of my way to come to your drill classes. If I had something to do, I had something to do. But, I would try to make a point to come to yours because, I thought that you went up and above the standard of just, like, oh, hey, yeah, that was I like what you said there. And not so much with that. You know what I mean? Like it was much more informational. And I think that it came from a place of more so of a coaching frame rather than just just basic information. You know what I mean? And which I appreciated and I thought was super dope. So it was no surprise to me to see, you go into the space that I'm in. You know what I mean? So
I was already in this space.
That I didn't know.
I know when I came in, just because Jared did a wonderful thing for me. I was starting off on my own.
Yeah.
And I was very scared. And I had a lot of fears and limiting beliefs that I was overcoming, which is what I coach on. So for the introduction, I'm an actress, writer, producer. I'm also a life and dating coach for men. I'm basically a relationship expert. I teach people how to fall in love with themselves, how to overcome limiting beliefs, how to overcome their trauma. Not like a therapist. That's where you'll be processing your trauma. I'm going to teach you how to use it after you be doing that in order to fall in love with your life so that you can attract in more love in your life. So that's what I do. And that's what I specialize in. I specialize in like addiction, trauma, anxiety, PTSD, things like that. So when I came in, it was very like, hey, don't tell anyone that you're a coach just because we don't want to confuse anyone.
Right.
So, which I did. I was like, got it. Because I was not willing to be under that umbrella yet because I knew that I was doing my own thing. And also there were things that like I coach on that, might be slightly different than you guys a bit. And a little bit more internal. I really don't do anything in regards to like bars or clubs or pickup or shit like that. Like I really don't. So I was like, but it just depends. Like I don't mind people doing that stuff, but it depends on like, you want to find out what someone's looking for anyway first. So when I came in, I was like, okay, got it. Let me just be here, show up. I've done mock dates before, we called them, or I've done like but then I'm hearing them and I'm hearing what they're saying and I'm reading their body language and I'm going like, okay. All right, fuck it. So
look, as a coach, for those people who are coaches that, it's not my place to say who should be, who shouldn't be, and things like that. I'm not that guy just throws people under the bus if I don't agree with them or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But here's what I'm getting at though, is the people that you can really tell that it's just a part of who they are. Like it's their purpose.
Yep.
You can't help it. You know what I mean? Like it's so funny. Every single modern flirting retreat. For those that don't know, we do quarterly retreats. Okay, we got one coming up in LA in July.
They look really dope. Those look amazing.
They're so much fun.
I've seen some of the guys like talk because you guys build that community where the guys get to be together and everything. I think for me, that's where I'm like, yes. But yeah. So you guys have a modern flirting coming up.
Yeah, and so but every retreat that we do, it's always like put out there to the students and us as coaches. We talk obviously talk amongst ourselves. All right, this isn't a boot camp. Don't expect the coaches to coach you. Like this is a bonding experience. We're here to hang out, chill, have a good time. What ends up happening?
There's no way.
We all end up coaching.
And also coaching each other.
Well, coaching the students. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, no, but I mean, we even coach each other like, it's just so natural to see something and go, oh, I've been there too. Or even see someone going through something and going, let's talk about it. It's a fascination. So I have a lot of people that are in the spiritual coaching realm or in the, entertainment industry coaching realm, or even just people with big hearts who come into this planet going, hey, I've been through some stuff. Can we swear, by the way? Can we swear?
I mean, I can, Shabam can. But you're all right.
Okay. So you have some people who come into this world who go, damn, I've been through some shit. I've overcome some shit. I'm going to help some people through their shit. And so it's just so natural. And so I have that around. So I have a lot of like you and like other people in my life where it's like, it's just natural that it's like when you see something or you're experiencing something or someone else is like, you know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing to go, hey, my cup is full. let's sit down and talk about some things, or like, yeah, I know for you, it lights you up. I've watched that happen. It lights me up. It's a beautiful thing to like get to see the light spark on in someone's eyes when they fall in love with themselves more, or they bond, or they overcome a fear, or like something clicks inside of them.
Right.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, what got you into this space?
Trauma. I'm just kidding.
Who did you date to give you that trauma?
Oh, didn't I? No. Keep.
Dale, what did you do?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's such a specific niche, right? I mean, like,
Yes.
and on top of it, elephant in the room, you're a girl. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, a girl coaching men. What? Yeah. I know that like behind the scenes, there's a lot of like people out there that are like, don't listen to men and don't listen to women and blah, 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 blah. And that's all trauma. That's the trauma hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Be mindful of what you ingest when you're listening to people, guys. It's really important. What you ingest will kind of go into limiting beliefs, confirmation bias. You'll just kind of stay in the hamster wheel of pain. So how I got into this. Oh, and by the way, those people, including ourselves, if I've got a guy problem, I'm going to go to another guy, because you guys are going to read a guy faster than I am. Now, I know trauma. I know human behavior like the back of my hand, and I know women, so it's easier for me to read that. So you put those two together. And the other thing, too, is that it's like there are certain things that men, in my experience, when they started realizing like, yo, I'm a human being, I have emotions, I have standards, and I have boundaries. Whoa, not just anger and hunger. What do I do? Right? We've been teaching men for centuries, only anger, only hunger. Those are your two emotions. Good luck. And like, you wonder why things are, and we also teach men, oh, you got to have the car and the Lamborghini and the suit, and you got to have 5 girls with you because you got to do. No, you don't. It's a lie. It's a freaking lie. I mean, we told them that for so long. Well, yeah, no, you do. Yeah.
But it's not neat.
No, you can have
I
it.
just like my stuff.
Listen, I have some nice things. You're allowed that. But if you have the nice things and you're not doing the internal work, those nice things will make you feel so miserable. This is where you get a lot of millionaires and billionaires that want to blow their brains out. I coach men who have had money out the wazoo and everything at their fingertips. And they're like, why am I miserable? I got the things, and they could get any girl, but they're miserable. And it's like, it's an internal game. Your internal game will always manifest externally. Yeah. So how I got into this, to answer that, so all of us, we really do like go to each other. I believe in bridging the gap and us working together, because the whole boys over here, girls over here, come on now. We're past that. Let's do this together. Men have certain skills, women have certain skills. When you combine those skills, you get, whatever that dude is, like Captain Planet, whatever. So I grew up in a chaotic household. And so it was always around me, tumultuous relationships. My family knows. We know we're all nuts. Love them to death. My family was just in town. But yeah, we're a little nuts. We're Irish Italian.
It's a lethal mix.
Oh, yeah. It's so lovely. So I actually always knew that I wanted to be an actor. However, it wasn't something that was okay in my family. I was the only one, really. There was maybe like my uncle who passed away that was, into theater, but there really wasn't that in my family. So I went to college and I studied psychology. Now, at first I was studying psychology and criminology. I'm fascinated. I love why human behavior. Like, I was thinking about doing criminal profiling. I was entertained by that. Yeah.
Oh,
happened. Whoa.
Natalie's too hot. Has to cool down.
Oh, my camera had to switch off to this one. That's okay. Yeah. Oh, my camera, my poor baby. Maybe that's why I got to spend the money on the.
No, you just need a fan. That's it.
Right? A fan.
Well, actually, that's a pretty good spot for a little break here. What's his name? It jumped right out of my head. Fuck. there's a student in Modern Flirting who does exactly what you're, a criminal psychologist. Yeah.
So awesome.
And you may have already
don't tell me
left
who.
before he started. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Like
It's
I don't
so
know,
fascinating.
What's that?
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Like all of, yeah.
Yeah.
But then, yeah.
Like, do you know Phil Stutz? You know that name?
Yes, I do. Stutz.
Yeah.
Does he have an institute or something? Hold on.
No. There was a documentary that came out.
There we go. Oh my God. Yeah, the one with Jonah Hill.
Yeah. Super dope.
That was amazing.
The student I'm talking about is best friends with Phil Stutz. And I'm like, what?
It's so there's certain people that I would geek out on, and it's like I've been around like celebrities and stuff who I geek out on are like these people, like the ones that are like, have these brilliant minds that like help. I just you help people. They just see. I do want. Oh wait, are we still recording? By the way,
yeah.
The cool part about it is oftentimes the reason why we go into things, to answer your question of why I'm in this space,
right?
A lot of people go into areas in their life that they had to deal with in childhood, that it is one of their bigger obstacles in life to overcome. Mm-hmm. And that's actually has a big indicator of why we do what we do. Like certain people, boxing, cops, military, protection. And depending on whether you're healed or unhealed will depend on how, if you become the bully, or if you are overprotective, or if you heal it and you get in that middle, that sweet spot where you've got boundaries. You're not going to overdo it, but you're not also going to take your power out and seek power from other people. So coaches, for instance, psychologists, psychiatrists, we're all in the areas that we ourselves had to overcome the most in. So I got my degree in psychology. I went and did communications as a background instead. So psychology and communications and PR. Graduated, head dive nose first into acting, which was beautiful. And then I studied human behavior with my coaches. So my coaches for acting, one of them, Ivana Chubbuck, she studied like anthropology, social sciences. So for 9 years, I was with her and breaking down human behavior every single day.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I was going through my own things. I was dating narcissists. I've dated a couple sociopaths. Okay. Psychopaths, like legit, like actual, take them to the doc. And I was one of the ones like, have you ever heard that? Like, I would never get with a toxic person. I would never stay in an abusive relationship.
Yeah. You hear that all the time.
Yeah.
What's crazy to me is a lot of the men that I coach, this is probably the most healing thing of my life, is being on the other side, helping men and them coming and opening up and going, I've dated narcissists and I stayed with them and I'm overcoming trauma and abuse from these relationships. And I'm like, we are the same.
No,
it is a lie that men and women are different.
There's a guy.
I've been in the space for a minute.
Well, there's a guy that I obviously I'm not going to mention names here. But there's a guy. There's a guy that's in Modern Flirting, is one of the students who was telling me recently that this guy used to be married, right? And he wasn't married long, but long enough, I guess. And his wife used to rape him.
That happens.
Right.
That
I know.
Happens.
And like, it's not, it's not a one-way street. You know what I mean?
It is not. Now, I will say, does it happen more to women? Yes, sure. There's a programming and a conditioning. We've even taught it with men. You got to sleep with her on the first night. If she doesn't sleep with you, then you did something wrong. That's inaccurate. Most of the time, if a woman doesn't sleep with you and you're dating, it's because she actually likes you. Yeah. But then there's some women that do. So it's not a one size fits all. Sure. But
of course.
Yeah. But then to hear, and I think a lot of women need to know this, it happens to men. And that doesn't mean that diminishes our trauma or diminishes anyone else's trauma. Trauma is trauma. We do have a little bit more that we pick up in certain areas, certain cultures, certain ethnicities will have way more than others, things that you have to overcome. But yeah, it happens to men, and that blew my mind. I didn't think that was possible, but yes, I did. I grew up watching it.
Okay.
Not that part, but I grew up seeing women in my life that I would watch them emasculate men, tear them down. And psychological abuse will have you doing things and becoming something like a shell of a human being, more so than sometimes, at times, physical abuse. Physical abuse, my brother and I used to joke, would be like, at least you knew what was like, why you're messed up. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, got hit in the face several times.
Right.
Connect the dots. The psychological abuse and the mental abuse and the emotional abuse, where you have this voice in your head that calls you a piece of shit, or you're worthless, or you're nothing, or it's your fault. That shit will have you continuing to pick traumatic individuals who cause you more trauma over and over and over again. It will cause that sabotage, because that's how we do a confirmation bias and how we sabotage our lives, is that voice inside.
I
from
think
other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's interesting that the way that a lot of guys are raised, okay, like you're talking about, you didn't like really, I don't know, I guess it just didn't like land or whatever for you to realize that like guys, there's tons of guys that will just go along to get along, to save a relationship or whatever, even though it's super abusive, mentally and emotionally and whatever else. Right.
Oh yeah.
There's so many guys. We had, a few weeks ago, we had Robert Glover, author of No More Mr. Nice Guy.
I love him. Yes. I recommend that book all of the time. I've gotten to meet him too on Zoom.
Oh, did you?
Yes, he's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say the last podcast episode we put out was that episode. With him, but yeah, like that book is an amazing book, and what in part what it shows is, a lot of guys, especially, probably since, World War II, baby boomers until now, we'll just say that. So, are raised like, okay, you have to be respectful. You have to go out of your way to help women. You have to, you got to be this knight in shining armor type of thing.
Right.
Where now it becomes a thing of like, okay, so if I'm with this girl and I'm going out of my way to, do things for her and be that nice guy, right? And it's not being reciprocated. Instead of questioning, like, well, maybe she sucks. You know what I mean? It's a thing of, well, what am I doing wrong? Why am
that part?
Like, I must not be enough, because if I was enough, then she would respond to everything that I'm doing here. And sometimes the other person just fucking sucks.
I hope people pause this and replay that part.
Yeah.
That's pretty much coaching in a nutshell. Hey, maybe who you picked sucked.
Yeah. Now it might come to a thing of like, okay, maybe your picking isn't, calibrated correctly.
We call it a broken picker. I've heard. I call it a broken picker. But I actually just got on the phone with someone yesterday and I was like, yeah, you have a broken picker. You're picking people who are shitty, who have a lot of trauma. And then when they do shitty things, you're blaming yourself instead of going, they just did a shitty thing.
Right.
Does it work for me? Later on, you wind up like after you heal some more and you kind of get that actually clicked into me where I was like, oh, the limiting belief of it's my fault keeps us stuck in situations where we're getting gaslit, narcissistic abuse, and being around people who are emotionally unstable.
Yeah.
And because we go, oh, it must be me. If I just did this differently, then this person would behave like they did when we first met. And it's like, no, when you first meet someone, all of us blow smoke up each other's asses for the first 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of us. I'm not going to tell you all my shit. Yeah.
Especially the worst shit. Like no one shows your worst side at the first date. Like, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, no, it was my ex's fault. I am lovely.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and that's so common that I see with, the guys do that where they're like, well, maybe like if I do X, Y, and Z and go out of my way and, then she'll like actually like being with me and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, that
just stems from
not
childhood.
The way to go about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe that person just isn't for you. Maybe she is a terrible person. Maybe whatever. Who knows?
Or just not in alignment.
Right.
If you want kids and she doesn't, not in alignment, or vice versa, just not in alignment. Maybe she just got out of a divorce and she's literally saying, I'm not ready for a relationship. And you are never going to work. Because later on, if you guys get attached to each other and all of a sudden 5 months in, she's going, I'm not ready. You're going, what happened? And it's like, no, she told you from jump. It's just that she liked you. So she tried, but you didn't listen to your boundaries up front, which is, I want to be with someone who's ready. I want to be with someone who wants to be with me. These are simple boundaries that we cross all the time.
Yeah.
On the opposite side of this scale that I hear too is screw all women. It's their fault. Women are this, women are that. And we generalize. Now, women do this too with men, which is also shitty.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, though, what you're saying to yourself and what you're telling your brain, because our brains are like a Where's Waldo, you're basically telling your brain, hey, brain, I want you to keep spotting the shitty people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because our brains are very simple. It's going to prove you right no matter what.
Yeah. And
So
that's the
you say all women
confirmation
are
bias,
shitty.
right? So
Exactly.
like I probably told this story on the podcast before, but fuck it. You know, you're probably like me in this way. Like, you know, how you kind of say the same things a lot. You know what I mean? And it's like, where did I say that? Who did I tell that to? You know? But,
Oh, yeah. All the time.
So a buddy of mine, one of my best friends in the world, right? This guy is one of these, he has a shitty picker, you know, like he just, for whatever reason.
I've had it too. I've had it, all of us. I'm sure we could all raise our hands on that one. It's how we know when other people have shitty pickers.
The reason I know when somebody has a shitty picker is because they picked me. But
Okay, questionable choices. Fair enough.
You thought that's a point in your direction, didn't you, Shabam? But so my friend, he's in this long-term relationship with this girl, right? Mm-hmm. And he tends to pick the same type of girl over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's usually
basically a girl that needs constant validation, you know, constant, nonstop validation. There's never enough validation. Right. So this girl, he's, you know, and of course, who's he going to come to when it comes to anything relationship or dating or anything like? He's going to come to me, right?
Yes.
Dale, what do I do here? And I'm like, man, look, based on everything that you're telling me, this sounds horrific. I'm like,
this sounds awful.
Now he was engaged to this girl, okay, and I'm like, man,
I've had clients like that. I've yelled at them before. I love them to death, but I've yelled at them. I'm like, you're about to lose all your money, but keep going. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, look, man, I'm like, you know, I don't want to like talk shit, you know, or anything, but at the same time, like, I got to tell you, you're asking me, I got to tell you, you know, if you go ahead and go with this, like, I'll respect your marriage and whatever, you know, but just know, man, you were in for a world of hurt, brother, you know? Yeah. And so he ends up breaking it off with this girl. All right. Now, about a month
pick the same type again, unless he gets healing. Yeah. Keep going.
Well, okay, so like a month later, he hits me up, right? And he's like, man, I don't know. I think I made a mistake. I think the universe is trying to tell me something. I think I need to get back together with her. And I'm like, what do you mean the universe is trying to tell you something? And he's like, man, you know, it's like, I can't get her off of my mind. Like things keep reminding me of her. Like, he's like, I see her car everywhere.
Oh, no, not that. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, what kind of car does she have? Oh, she has a Toyota Camry.
Oh my God. They're everywhere.
I'm like, oh, you mean the most sold car on planet Earth? You know, like, of course you see it everywhere. Everybody has one, you know?
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, oh, is it black by chance? He's like, man, how did you know? I'm like,
how did you know? Well, I got something to tell you. I too. No.
Right. So
the universe was also telling me.
Like, oh, the reason I know is because her car is actually in my driveway right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's right beside me at that point.
But the thing is that, you know, I'm like, dude, the universe ain't trying to tell you something. You're just recognizing, like you said, the Where's Waldo example. You're just recognizing things that remind you of her because she's on your mind. So therefore there's these attachments, you know?
Yes.
So once you start eliminating these attachments or at least start recognizing them for what they are, now the world's a little bit more, like the
now you're
human
not
mind
the
looks
victim
for,
to your
this
world.
as well as I do. The human mind looks for patterns, right?
Yeah.
Like in my estimation, like you talk about IQ and, like it's a marker for intelligence. And I know that it is on some level for sure. But I think a person that can pick up on patterns the best is the most intelligent person, like they can really identify patterns and how to break those patterns if they need to be broke. If you're seeing patterns where nobody else is seeing the patterns, you're like seeing the Matrix, right? So, but the thing is that we don't recognize that we look for patterns. A lot of people don't anyway. I guess some people do, but
I feel like that's what we do in coaching. I find your patterns and break them. But
that's exactly it.
Give you new patterns.
Really what it boils down to in a nutshell, it's just helping people.
That's what a coach is. We spot your patterns.
Exactly. And create new ones. I can't break somebody's pattern.
I
wish. I throw them in a dark, damp basement and lock the door or something.
Right. There's been look, I love my clients, and there has been, I've had that too, where I had a client that because of trauma from his childhood, he was basically dating his father, not to say it in a weird way, but he was dating elements of his father over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And at one point, like I screamed. Because I was saying the same thing every session. And what it was is there was an obsession with this person. Oftentimes people think if I get that person to change and behave differently, I'll be okay. That's literally coming from childhood. It was a safety mechanism. And so we blamed ourselves because our parent was acting fucking nuts. Yeah. And our parents, what I mean? Yeah. So we put people in positions of authority or power over us, or some people are in positions of power over us because we're their kids or they're supposed to be protecting us. And we don't. And it fucks with our heads because then our brain has to make that make sense. So it goes, it must be me. So now you're in these relationships. And I remember he did the same thing. He was like, I think if I marry her, it'll be okay. And that like, that's what she's looking for. If that'll make things like set. And I screamed. I was like, that's it. We're recording this session because I've been saying the same thing to you every time. Here's the work. I cannot reach into your psyche and adjust this and help you heal. You need to go to therapy and do the work that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I need you to love yourself. Just an iota, just a fucking iota of the amount that I care about you. Just that. That's all I fucking need. And I was like,
mustard seed of faith.
But you know what? He realized it. He's good now. His career is succeeding. He's doing great. Like I still coach with him today. This was years ago, and I still have him today. And like, it really, like, it's everything is a mirror. So that guy that was keep getting with women that are validation seekers, it means that he's seeking validation.
Oh yeah.
And it's like everyone and everything is a mirror to us of like, oh, what does this person represent? It's usually a reflection of something that we hate or that we are shaming inside of ourselves. That's why we get attached to people. It's just the next level of our journey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Also, like,
go ahead, Shimar.
Basically, like, trauma doesn't, like, people think, like, when you say trauma, right? That's the problem.
Oh, yeah.
See, like, whenever you tell someone you might have had a traumatic childhood or something, like you might have some trauma that is causing this, they're like, no, I had amazing childhood. The problem is, like, that's what most people would say. But like the reality is, trauma, it does not mean abuse, like literal physical, or even, it just doesn't mean that. It can be something very simple as like, your parents forgot you in like the mall, let's say. Okay. As a kid, for you, that's like you were abandoned because apparently you're not good enough. And like deep down, you just like, repeat it over and over again. And now you're like, okay, I have to, like, it's not even like, it's not that big of a thing, but like, because you're such a young kid and you don't know to differentiate that, or it can be something simple, like, maybe just you are playing and your parents basically went, shut up, and like, something like that. That suddenly becomes like a very traumatic experience for like, in the subconscious. And now you're like, that's just playing back into your head. You don't realize it. And later on, when you grow, like you said, subconsciously, you're looking for that same thing again and again. And you end up in that traumatic state.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, it's not for me to define your trauma. It's not my place to tell you what is trauma for you and what isn't, for one person, a trauma could be, I'll use myself for an example. Okay. So like I've been in a lot of different sketchy situations. I've had pistols pulled on me a ton of times,
Well, only once for me, but it was a 9mm.
I did that.
No, I didn't do that. Well,
on Dale.
Oh yeah, sorry, Dale. I'm so sorry about that.
I didn't know who you were with that ski mask on, Dale. I mean, what was I supposed to do?
Yeah,
I couldn't see you clearly. If you had just had, if you didn't clutch your pearls like a little freaking pansy, maybe you wouldn't have gotten it. All right, so I pistol whipped him one time. But fine,
that's kind of unfair, Yeah, he was just trying to make a living.
So
was I.
This isn't to suggest like I'm tough guy or something like that. But what all I'm saying is I've been in situations that for some people, it might be something that just completely their psyche is broken, But for me, if I wake up in the middle of the night and there's a spider crawling on my face, that's my trauma. You know what I mean?
I'm out. Yeah. I'll scream like a little, put a gun to my head and I'll smile down the barrel because I've done it. You put a spider, I'm around a spider, I'll lose my shit. We are burning this place down. We are burning it down. This place, I'm out.
So it's not for, it's not for me to define what somebody considers a trauma, right?
Correct.
And one of the ways that like for me that I like to in my coaching that I like to put it is usually the event in and of itself isn't the actual trauma, right? Like, okay, I wake up with a spider on my face, like nothing like
I am traumatized.
Happened, Yeah. But the attachments that I make towards the event, that's the real trauma, not the event itself, right? The event is just an event, just something that happened, But if I'm carrying this event with me nonstop, and if I'm letting this event affect every decision I make, and it's putting a filter on my worldview and all this and that, that's far more traumatic than the actual spider.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Project. We'll project. Yeah. So that's what happens a lot in dating and in relationships of all kinds. And that's why I kind of like being like a life coach too, because I'm like, it's all of your relationships, including the one with yourself. We project onto others the way that we feel inside. So that trauma or that pain point, and I love that. I'm so glad we brought that up. A lot of people have been passing around the word trauma and relating it to some large, huge thing. And that's not what it means. You can literally, like skin your knee when you were a kid and now all sidewalks are lava, can't go outside, right?
Yeah.
And you want to, and so our brains are very simple. It receives and perceives things in order to protect us. So I've told clients too, like, let's say for instance that you were a kid and anytime that you were, that you got great grades or you scored a touchdown or you did something good, you got rewarded. Our brain would register that and now put that in the back of our head as, oh, I need to do things in order to be loved. So now when you get older, you overdo things, you overgive, you give too much because that's what you thought, that's how you perceive the world. So now you're projecting, that's your spider. Essentially, that's your spider. So now you're going out and you're going on these dates and you're over giving because you're like, I want to be loved. And this is how, but it's feeling off and it's not feeling good because yes, it feels good to give, but you're feeling off about it. That's a ping. That means, I'm going against my internal compass, my boundaries. I'm not giving to myself. I'm not listening to myself. I'm not healing from this place because it's not coming from a place of like, I can give without needing anything. Just like we talked about with Dr. Robert Glover, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Now we could be building, it's called building a contract building, where if I give to you, I'm giving to you because I think I'm going to get something in return.
Yeah,
your time, contracts. Your attention. Yes, covert contracts. Yeah. So I have the same thing. I did want to say this though too. I'm just learning about this more. This is really good. I love this. I'm awake. But this is why too, like coaches, why and like people when we are helpers and stuff, you just get so excited doing this. So thank you guys for having me on. This is amazing. So another thing that I'm learning is this. oftentimes for those of us, especially that have been through some gnarlier shit, because I do, like I've been in abusive relationships, had the gun pulled, saw some shit that I should not have been seeing. It's just kind of, even my family, like a lot of the things that we've all been through, like I will say my family is like gangsta in a good way. My family's dope. We've overcome a lot. And so what I noticed though, and what I'm working on now is just because I'm calm, cool, and collected in certain traumatic experiences, just like a military person would be when they are like in a war zone.
Yeah. When
the war zone is done, when you don't need to be calm, cool, collected, this is what you do. This is where you bury the body, whatever. I'm not saying I buried any bodies. I'm just saying some people are calm, cool, and collected during that time. You know what I'm saying? When we're in that frame, we're still actually operating in fight or flight. I had something happen to me recently, like just this past week, where it was actually traumatic, but I didn't register it because it was a violation. And it was, and I just naturally knew who to call, knew what to do, knew exactly how to handle it. And my family was around me and they did the same thing. They're like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. But what I didn't realize is that I was like, afterwards, I was jumping a little bit anytime my phone rang or anytime I got a text. And I was like, oh, my mind can slow this down. I know what to do because I'm in like I'm lowering my heart rate while I'm in a fight or flight, while my amygdala is spiked.
Yeah.
However, afterwards, when there's no danger anymore, my body and my mind are still looking for danger. This is what we do in dating a lot. So what I noticed and what I recognize is that our body, there's a book called Your Body Keeps the Score. Even though we might be able to go through trauma, we still want to work on like, is my body still remembering this trauma?
Yeah. Am
I still getting triggered in certain areas? If I'm around a certain type of person on a date and they say something, do I lose my shit? Do I have to constantly calm my heart rate down? Am I projecting these wounds? So it means that like our body and our psyche are still, that thing, and I know a lot of guys know this one, where you sit in a corner so you can see all of the exits.
I do that every time I go to eat.
Same, unless I'm with someone that needs to too, because I recognize when people need to.
Well, you can sit on the same side, I guess.
Well, so if I'm with someone that I trust and I know that they have I can watch them because I'll watch them clock a room. Yeah. So I'll know that I'm like, we'll be fine. I'll just be, but I can feel that door. So, but for me, so I'm still working on, my body's held on to some things. My body's held, and my body and my psyche, my stomach, my nervous system deserves to heal so that I don't have to be tense anymore.
Yeah. A lot of times, I think that people don't generally look at their body as a warning signal or some type of, like on the dashboard in your car, the check engine light comes on, right? And that's a signal to you, like, okay, it's probably nothing. Car seems like it's driving fine, but let's have let's get the scanner out and see what's up, And so
scan it.
But when you're super anxious, right? A lot of people feel that in their stomach, right? Yeah. Or you get shortness of breath, or you start sweating, or right. Those are all physical manifestations. You know what I mean? Yep. Of what's going on up here, right? So I think a lot of people ignore that, and they're just like, okay, gotta figure this out, gotta fix this, and then now you're all up in your head, essentially. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, 1,000%. I think that happens a lot to men too with the fix it thing, where whenever they have a ping go off in them, they feel inadequate, they feel nervous, they feel anxious, and women too, but I think the fix it specifically is programmed in more men because we've taught them to over the centuries. So what happens is that you get a ping go off. You have something that comes up: envy, jealousy, guilt, shame, anger, resentment, sadness, something. You get a ping, you get that check engine.
By the way.
Yeah.
I thought that was Monday, but maybe that's just me.
I think we're on a Friday.
No, on Friday I'm good because I'll start drinking. Oh,
yeah.
I'll be all right.
Oh. I lost the luxury of doing that one a long time ago. In fact, I never think I had it. So when you abuse it, when you're like, I'll guzzle that gallon.
I'm drinking right now. If you didn't know. No,
I know. So oftentimes what will happen is people will, men especially because I coach men, so we'll talk about that. You'll feel this ping, the check engine light will go on. I feel some type of way. My stomach is clenching. My chest is tight. And immediately what we do is, instead of going, am I around someone that goes against my boundaries? Am I going against my boundaries? Am I burnt out? Am I hungry? What's going on here? Instead, what we do is we go, did I do something wrong? Does something need to be fixed? And we'll try and fix things because we feel off. And instead of like pulling back and calming that down first and like checking your engine first, they immediately gun it. And then they're like, no, the best thing to do is full speed ahead. Let me fix something that I don't know what the problem is.
Right.
And this is where they'll start fixing a relationship that doesn't need fixing, or there's a toxic female or a toxic person or a toxic coworker. And now suddenly you're like hyper focused and attached to them, as opposed to like, whoa, wait a minute. No, your body's going off for a reason. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. Yeah. We've taught so many people that anger, sadness, grief, jealousy, resentment, sadness, that all of those things are wrong. You're bad if you feel shame. You're wrong if you have sadness. You're weak if you cry. No, that's not it. When those things come up, those are indicators that you are outside of your alignment or you are around someone who is.
I love that. I tell people all the time, there's no such thing as a good emotion and a bad emotion. Well, that's it for Natalie.
I gotta get your camera.
All I saw was battery exhaust. I'm like, well, that's a wrap for Natalie.
Sorry guys, I gotta figure out this camera thing.
It's all good. It's all good. You're on. We're good. But there's no such thing as a good emotion and a bad emotion. There's just emotions. We're the ones that attach, whether it's good or bad to that emotion. Now, look, like a lot of people would say, for instance, a bad emotion is anger, right? Like that's a negative emotion.
Or they go low vibration.
Angry. Okay. Well, now, let's put it in context. What if somebody's trying to break into your house and they've got an axe and they're trying to kill you? Right? Would anger be an appropriate emotion? Yeah. I would say so. So like
some of us will experience joy. Right? I was like, try me, motherfucker. Finally.
Finally I can use my gun. Let's go.
I know. I don't even need a gun. No, I'm canceling that energy. That's not I would not be excited if someone were to do that. No, I'm kidding. All right. So anyway, yes, anger is an appropriate emotion.
Right. So it's a matter of context and appropriation to whatever circumstance is going on and all that kind of stuff. Happy. Then they'll be like, oh, that's a great emotion. You should be happy. Well, again, guy breaking in the house, like, hey, what's up, buddy?
Although I will say that there was. Yeah, there was one time where I was like in the middle of Orlando and I was dating someone at the time, and like he left my car door wide open and we were in like a not so safe area. And I was in the passenger side because we've been drinking, because he was getting someone out of our back seat and to like get this guy to his doorstep. While he's doing that, dragging this dude out, this other dude jumps in the car in my driver's side. And I looked at him and go, what's up? And he looked at me, he's like, whoa. And I was like, hey. And he's like, hi. And I'm like, so this is my car. And he's like, it is? I'm like, yeah, she's cute. It's not like the best. It's a Nissan Versa, and she's blue, but she's what I got. And he was like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah. And then my boyfriend came back and I was like, well, have a good night. And my boyfriend gets in and closes the door, locks. He's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, la, la, la. We should go.
It's funny though, like how a circumstance like that can kind of actually change your mood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in a way that you didn't really expect. Like,
well, I changed his mood.
I'm with this girl that I'm dating, right?
Yeah.
And like we're at her place we had gotten like sloppy, stupid drunk, and we got into this argument, right? And so we're going at it, pretty good. I mean, nothing physical, obviously, but like still we're yelling at each other, whatever, and I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. She's like, you can't leave. You've been drinking. Like, I'll call the cops. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm calling your bluff right now. You ain't going to, So I go to leave. Well, now, again, super drunk. It's probably 3 a.m. on a Saturday night or Sunday night or something like that. So I go to get my car. She runs out of her house and gets on the hood of my car. Okay. And I'm like, I can't drive away now. You know what I mean? So I'm like, so I get out of the car and I'm like, listen, just let me go. Like, I don't want to stand here and argue with you. I don't want to do any of that. Like, I think it's just best if I just left, and we'll talk this out when we're sobered up and everybody's cool, calm, collected, and as we're having this conversation, and mind you, we had been beefing for probably an hour and a half. Like, it wasn't just a quick argument. Like, like it was a big argument, big blowout. Well, as we're having I'm trying to explain to her, look, I'm just trying to get out of here. We'll talk later. This guy jumps up out of nowhere. All right. He's got a gun on me and he's like, get out on the ground, get out on the ground. And we both look, we're like, whoa, cause it startled us,
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa. And he's like, put your hands behind their head and get down on the ground. I was like, are you a cop? I said, get down on the ground. I was like, and I'll ask you again, are you a cop? And he was like, I've got a gun. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, dude, you ain't going to do shit. And so I turn around and we both walk to the house. We both get back in the house. That diffused everything.
I know, dude, it shocks people. Look, listen, for anyone listening, don't do what we did. This is not.
Oh, yeah, I'm not suggesting that.
Yeah, don't do what we did. This is like when you by the time you got to this point in your life where someone's holding a gun to you, it didn't shock you. It's not. So for me too, it was like stuff like that was happening. It wasn't even. You can read people in traumatic situations a little faster. Do not do what we did. I do not recommend that. But yeah, that's.
Yeah.
People will respond differently to different circumstances. There are times where, honestly, and I used to hate this, but there were times where something would happen and I would freeze and I would have the freeze trauma response.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And that one, like, I used to shame myself over that. And then I would help clients through that, where I've had male clients, female clients. I've coached all over the world through Zoom. I'm not going to travel over there unless you pay me a lot. I know. I started before 2022, by the way, with this, but then it was always on phone or Zoom.
Yeah.
So it's great. But I've gotten to like see and hear from all over the world, and different people have different responses to different things at different times. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're not going to know when you're in a fight or flight which one you're going to get. It's fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. Fawning, and a lot of people will recognize this one after I say it. Fawning is when you over caretake or over nurture or overdo and over fix in order to keep your surroundings safe. Mm-hmm. So for any of the guys out there that felt shame on like, man, I keep like doing whatever they say or like over giving, I feel like such a POS and such a, it's literally just a trauma response.
Yep. I see that so often with guys like that. Like what you'll see like with the red pill type stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're a super nice guy. They got burned a couple of times, whatever. And then they're like, whoop, there goes the pendulum. Like, oh, I'm going to be a raging asshole from now on. Brr. It's like, well, that's not really calibrated either. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. You want to find that middle. Right. I've had clients that did that or that listened to a lot of them and then came over and they had to recalibrate and deprogram from that. It's just trauma. You'll feel it. That's kind of my favorite thing is I love coaching men to overcome their trauma and actually have standards and boundaries, because what winds up happening is that when they hear those guys, men a lot of times are taught to people please those men. That's why most men will get the women on their arm or the Lambo. It's not for us. We don't give a shit. We date broke dudes all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care.
Yeah, you should see
David,
the girls that Shabam gets. He's broke as hell.
What?
Right? It really is like that though. Like it really, like it's not like so, but my favorite though is watching great men who've been abused, who were taught to like people please other men with the girl on their arm or with the, you know, notoriety or whatever, or the, oh, I guess I got to fuck a lot of girls or something. I've had so many clients that are like, I don't want to do that. That's not who I am. I'm like, amazing.
Yeah, you don't have to.
You don't have to at all. You can be like, no, that's not who I am. That's not what I want. What winds up happening too is like those guys wind up like seeing their worth and kind of seeing that they're already up here. We all are, but some people put themselves down here or put others down here.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden these men are stepping up into their worth and their values. And then they're seeing these guys who are angry at women, angry at the world, angry at their mothers, angry at their fathers. That's all that is. It's just projected wounds. And they're up here now and they're going, oh, got it. I see.
Yeah.
Love that.
And it's like, it's basically like the internal program, you know, like, okay, let's say, for example, if you say, you know, for 1 month, if I tell, so Dale, like you're going to say that, you know, I'm going to get very, very sick, okay, to yourself, like 1 hour every day for 30 days. Will you do it? Like, probably not. Hopefully not, I would say. Yeah, exactly. Like, but when you think about it, it's like common sense, you know, of course you would, because that would be bad for you. Okay. Right. But on the contrary, people won't be like, I'll say good things to myself. No one does that, because if the bad can actually make you, well, feel shit and be shit, why can't the opposite be also true? You know, nobody thinks of it like that.
Great point. Like just today.
Until they're taught.
Yeah, exactly. Just today, I dropped a story on Facebook and Instagram, right? Where what I was
only today. Today. Never again. Today's your chance to see behind the scenes.
Unfortunately, this will probably come out like a week and a half. So that today will be long gone. But just for reference sake, though, you know, the story that I put out today, I was talking about how, you know, we talk about people lying to themselves, right?
Oh yeah.
And really, what it is people telling themselves half truths. Or omitting truths to themselves, right? So like when you tell somebody or when somebody hears the expression, don't lie to yourself, the way that most people take that is like, okay, if I'm not going to lie to myself, that means that I have to look for all the flaws that I have, right? Well, that's only part of it. That's the half.
Right.
Like, you know, there's the other half that are positive things, right?
Yes.
You don't want to lie to yourself about those, you know, because what guys tend to do when they get in that mindset of like, okay, well, I suck at this. I suck at this. I suck at this. Okay, that's all the negatives. Fine. What's the positives? Well, I'm not very good at this. I'm kind of okay at this. I would be better at this, but it's like they don't want to give themselves any type of credit. And so it's two sides of the same coin. If you're going to be honest with one part, you need to be honest with the other, you know? And
it's hard though.
No wonder people have low self-esteem and things like that, because it's a constant focus on all the negative things that are going on with you and it's just a checklist of things that need to be fixed. It's like a honey-do list for yourself of, you know, self-improvement.
Oh yeah. I will say this though. A lot of times people are, this is the big thing that I'll say, because I hear this all the time. There are people who know that they need to speak better to themselves, or that they know that they keep getting into toxic relationships. Knowing can drive you nuts. And sometimes we can gaslight people or put them down or make them feel worse by going, what are you doing? You just got to talk to yourself nice. What are you doing? You just got to stop dating those kind of women. And it's like, yeah, no shit. I want to. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that your subconscious mind is the driving bus behind everything. Your subconscious mind rules your behavior. So your prefrontal cortex, your conscious thinking, does not. It'll drive you nuts if you keep trying to figure this shit out, or you keep trying to blow smoke up your own ass. So the main thing is that if you find that you want and you realize I want a better life, I want to speak to myself better, I want to have better relationships all around, but I can't seem to do it and I keep talking to myself like shit, do not fucking shame yourself. Don't listen to these people who are like, you just got to do it this way. You just got to do it this way. No, it just means that there's actually like something from your childhood. There's a programming that's going on. There's a pain point that's actually forcing you to threat monitor because it was a survival thing that got installed when you were a kid. You're still in survival mode. Yeah. There's no fucking way in hell that when we are in survival mode that you'll be in thriving, abundant mindset. So you want to learn how to go from survival mode, which is shit. When you're in survival mode, it's negative. It's, I just got to get mine. Like everything's dangerous. I got to watch out for danger. You're not going to fucking say nice things when you're in survival mode. You have to survive. Right. So we want to learn how to go from survive. And what's happening in America too is putting a lot of people more in survival mode. It's why if I don't care about me, it's going to be very difficult to care about you. If I look in the mirror and I hate me, it's going to be very difficult to love you when I don't even love myself.
That's like the tagline to this podcast is, you know, look, this is about inner game is about the relationship that you have with yourself, because with the relationship, if the relationship with you suffers, so will all your other relationships. You know?
Correct. Or when you get the success that you're looking for, it'll crumble and fall apart because secretly inside that voice is going, I'm not worth it. I don't deserve it. It's my fault.
Yeah.
And then we will create that.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So when you're looking in the mirror, it's like, what do you see? And it's okay if you're talking to yourself negatively. That's okay. No matter what, you can overcome that. You can learn why you're speaking yourself that way because you weren't born with that voice. So chances are it's your mother or your father or something that happened in childhood, most likely from the ages of 2 to 10 up to 14 when our subconscious minds are being formed. That's when we receive the programming. And so what we're doing now when they say be yourself, if anyone's ever heard that, it means, be you in spite of and because of the bullshit that you've been through and get back to your programming, not other people's or generational trauma programming.
Yep. Love it. Love it. All right. So let's end on that note because I got nothing else to say.
Lies. We got hours and hours, but yes,
Natalie,
this was amazing though. I had such a blast.
Oh, I know. It was a great time. Absolutely. You know, if Shabam wasn't here, it probably would have been a little better, but
no, he dropped bombs. Your name is Shabam. You drop bombs. I'm like, oh, he said what I was thinking. Coming in there like, back out. Then I dropped that Black album. Then I back outed as the best rapper alive, best podcaster alive. Ask about him. All right, that's it. I gotta stop.
That's all I got. I'm all out of bars. All right, so what's the best way? Should somebody want to get in touch with you? What's the best way they can do that?
A bat signal. Just throw it up. I got you. I'm on Instagram and all social media platforms at Natalie Stavola. I also have lovecoach247.com. I'm also on Instagram at love.coach247. I'm just not on there as much. You'll really reach me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You'll see Natalie Stavola. That's the one. And then if you're interested in like learning about the modalities I do and the stuff that I do, it's lovecoach247.com.
So perfect. Love it. Love seeing, you know, like since I've gotten to know you, you know what I mean? Like you really climb, you know,
I was hiding a lot. I wasn't out. You wouldn't have known what I was doing because I was so scared to shine. I was overcoming and healing my own trauma. I was very scared to shine. So when you met me, a lot of people didn't know what I was doing. And then I really made that pivot where I was like, no, I teach people to overcome their trauma and their fears and to live their life. And that's exactly what I'm going to be an example of. So I get to do that now.
No doubt. Love it. Love it. And listen, guys, reach out to her. Follow her shit, man. You know, like she puts out a lot of great content. And I'm not just saying that just because she's here. Like I've said it to other people too, you know. So, you know, give her a follow. Check out what she's doing. And listen, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, make sure you do so. You know, listen, I think this is episode 20 or 21 of the podcast. There's like 180 other videos on here, you know, and it's free. Like a third of a second, like, think, like that's it. You know what I mean? So I know it's annoying to have to bring that kind of stuff up, but it's really
not at
helpful,
all.
so.
Let people support you. Let them know that way. Hey, follow along with this, because that way you're going to get alerted anytime he drops bombs and drops knowledge. Or Shabam's on here dropping bombs, or my ass is back up in here dropping bombs. Click that subscribe button because you get to learn more things and work and move and excel in life with us.
Yeah, no doubt. Love it. Great. All right. Well, guys, we'll talk to you guys soon and have a great rest of your week.
You too. Bye, guys.
Just bye.